in 2003, I had an opportunity to invest and basically take over the actual ownership of the company from what was ITEX Corporation in the United States.
Mhm.
And so I've sort of been on my own since 2003.
Wow.
You know, in the Toronto market specifically, but we've gone and expanded and done a lot of organic growth and done acquisitions of other ITEX offices. So I now have the license for the ITEX brand and representation for all of Canada. So we have offices, and it's a good segue actually, because just to dive into some of the content here, but so we have ITEX offices in Toronto, which we consider our head office in Canada.
Yep.
And it's in a great spot, just a few minutes from the airport, as I mentioned there earlier. I know we're recording now, so I'll just repeat a little bit. So yeah, we're at Dundas and 427, and been basically in the West End for some time. And then we actually have an office also in the Niagara region, and we have an office in Montreal, in Vancouver, and we have clients, over 2,000 member businesses across the country, and we have also clients spread out in every province. So we're well covered in terms of like who we represent and where we represent them, and so we're always looking at ways, whether it's through acquisition or through organic opportunities, to enroll more businesses into ITEX.
Yeah, that's for sure. And so just for like to get a feel for how big it is, like would you know like how much volume of business is transacting like on, let's say, in Canada?
Yeah. So first of all, and a little bit of history in terms of the barter industry, and the industry really itself goes back to the beginning of time in a non-organized format. And I'm sure a lot of people already know that. But in an organized format, using a platform where barter transactions can be conducted on an organized level really started in the late 60s in the United States and California.
Mm-hmm.
And then the industry, that was really the birth of the organized barter industry. Then it sort of, erupted and has changed in various, through peaks and valleys as the economy in various countries has changed. And so the ITEX office here in Canada represents about 10 to 12% annually of our US business. But there's about 70 ITEX offices in North America collectively. We don't have franchises in Canada. We have franchises in the United States.
Got it.
So I have the broker license, not unlike our broker real estate license, if you will, for Canada.
Got it.
So that's a good way to sort of frame up and compare industries, if you will, while giving some context to some numbers.
Yeah.
Annually, we produce anywhere from $12 to $13 million in transactional volume for our clients.
Mhm.
And again, that represents over 2,000 member businesses. In the US, similar to what I said, it's usually about $12 million. $12 million, $120 million annually for the US operation.
So there's some serious value transacting between members.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to offer this out at sort of towards the end of the call, but sort of an information package. I know you've seen it, but it does help give some, give people some context as to what kind of clients we're working with. And we deal with clients as large as the Jim Pattison Group. So, billboards, any of their brands under their umbrella. We'll work with Rogers, Bell Media, MLSC, any of their properties, a lot of media just in general. So we'll deal with, and in certain markets. So we'll deal with, Western Canadian media, we'll deal with Ontario, Quebec, or even national. So, if you can give some, we do Air Transat, like there's lots of different bigger brands that people will obviously recognize. If we're talking sort of in the Toronto market, we have everything from banquet halls to dry cleaners to, advertising companies, sign makers, printing companies, sort of your day-to-day, and also for personal use. Ripley's Aquarium, because it's under the Pattison banner. So there's lots of things that we have for personal needs and for business needs, and our clients appeal to both. They want to spend in both areas from the sales that they generate from ITEX dollars.
So, I mean, what does a typical transaction look like between a business and who would this value? I mean, who would do this?
So it's a good segue into where our benefits lie, because the benefits ultimately will help, change and shape exactly how people will look at it.
Yeah.
So from a benefits standpoint, we customize it based on someone's services that they provide, or if it's a product that they sell. So on the services side, we'll go in and assess, okay, what are your capacities? Do you have scheduled downtime? Do you have equipment downtime? Do you have any kind of worker capacity? So if you have a sales team, or if you have a team of designers and they have capacity and they can take on more projects, those are areas where we will benefit. A couple of contacts, I can speak to one specifically that I think Carlo Parentella.
Yeah.
From Chateau Le Jardin. So he has a banquet hall or an event venue, and he has capacity, right? Not unlike a hotel, not unlike quite frankly, a hair salon. They have hours in the day, they have days of the week, and if someone's not in their chair, or someone's not renting their venue, it's not making money. If someone's not staying in the hotel room, it's not making money. So ITEX barter exchange becomes a very attractive or viable way to create a tool for their business that generates more income that they would otherwise not have. So those ITEX dollars would then be used or redeemed to offset cash expenses. So the cash expenses are where you're spending on a business or personal level, and you're using your ITEX dollars, thus creating more cash flow and keeping it on your bottom line, because you're spending ITEX dollars and not cash.
Got it. Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah.
So you can drive down a road and not necessarily know who is an ITEX client, but they use ITEX as a tool within their arsenal of their business, and then how they will use it, they can customize how they will do it.
So let's use that example for a second. Let's say a banquet hall like Le Jardin, if they're not booked on a Sunday, right?
Yep.
Take us through slowly, like how does ITEX come in and help fill that void, or make that value
Connect.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So to again help give some context, we have two sides to our business. We have what's called the new activations or new member enrollment side, and then that's someone going out, speaking to business owners, educating them about ITEX, how it can work for their business, and then integrating how ITEX could work in it on a day-to-day basis or month to month, year to year, whatever, or how they can customize how they want to work it. The other side of our business is the account management side, what we call trade directors. And the trade director, which is really addressing your question, they help bridge and put, buyer and seller together. So let's say the prospective buyer would come to us and say, hey, I'm looking for an event venue for my daughter's shower. And then we would give them, a list of those venues, and they may say, just because we're using it, they may say, well, what does Chateau Le Jardin, what does their event venue look like, or availability or cost? So the trade director works with the buyer and the seller, again, a lot like real estate broker, and then connects not only the parties, but then starts to bridge the information. Okay, they have availability on October 28th. The time you want is from 1 to 4. And so the trade director plays an integral role in assisting with the sales, in this case for Le Jardin, or on the buy side for the buyer.
Yeah.
And so and then the transaction takes place exactly like any other transaction. The only difference is the method of payment. In this case, it's ITEX dollars.
It's ITEX dollars. Okay, so let's say it's me on the other end, and I need a space. I'm an ITEX member, and I need a space for my daughter's shower.
Yep.
So we're gonna.
So you call me up, or you call up one of our trade directors, account managers, and they would help you put that together. And it's not necessarily just the venue. It may be the photographer. It may be rentals for the event. It could be a photo booth. Those are the kinds of things that would be available on ITEX that you could also take advantage of.
Okay, so I'm bartering with ITEX dollars instead of Canadian dollars.
That's right. You're making that purchase with ITEX dollars.
So, but now how am I earning ITEX dollars?
By providing your service and making it available on ITEX.
Right. So it doesn't have to be a direct exchange of services. We can use the ITEX dollars as a medium of exchange.
We actually solve that challenge. So where somebody wants to do a barter transaction, but they can't find a partner that has a direct fit, the ITEX barter exchange helps make that transaction happen. So if you sell your services and let's say it generates a transactional amount of $10,000, that $10,000 goes from buyer account to your account. Now you take your 10,000 and you go and spend 5,000 for the hall, 1,000 for the photographer, 500 for the photo rental booth, right? So you start to make those purchases, thus keeping cash on your bottom line, but you're still achieving the end result, which in this case is holding a shower for your daughter.
Right. So I'm getting it now. I'm an ITEX member. Somebody wants to use my services, and instead of them paying me in, dollars or me earning commission, I'm earning ITEX dollars. And now my ITEX dollars are in my account. Now, one of your, what did you call them? The people,
trade director.
One of the trade directors, I talked to them, and they, are able to use my ITEX dollars to solve or to fulfill whatever need I might have within the exchange.
That's correct.
Now that makes sense.
It could be one vendor, it could be multiple vendors. Let's use that. So Chateau Le Jardin, they take that money, they get all their carpet and upholstery clean in all their halls, right?
Yes.
They get their drapery done. They get, they buy ads on Z103.
Yeah.
Z103 takes their money. They go and buy promotional items. They buy billboards, right? They buy, if you will, giveaways for the listeners. So and around and around and around it goes. So the ITEX trade directors, along with all of the rest of our team, we play an integral role in making sure that we're generating sales, and then of course assisting with any of the purchasing.
Yes, got it. So, and now Carlo at Le Jardin, he's earned these ITEX dollars, and he can now invest some of his cash to build more or grow his business.
That's right. So that's exactly how that would work. Whether it's, buying advertising to support Après Noir, or, if you've been by the halls where recently, all the, it's pretty cool actually, all the banners, all the billboards advertising the construction and the growth and the sales of Hotel V, which you're familiar with that, what he's doing? Okay. So he's developing and building a hotel on site. So all of that material, if you want to call it that, all the billboards and so on, signs, all paid for with ITEX dollars.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because what it does is obviously it helps shape, exactly, okay, well, who are we selling to? And then where are we going to spend those dollars that we generate? But all that cash that you would have had to have spent has now been retained.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's where you're going to start to see some real world examples and benefits of how that works. Just to dive into another case study, this was pretty cool. This actually made mainstream news, but we had a client of ours come to us and say, I want to buy and invest in a company and start a pizzeria. And this was on Global, 680 News, CHCH, all kinds of different print publications, where this story actually took shape, and we realized how great and cool this was going to be. So we kind of chronicled the entire story. So did you remember seeing any of this, or?
No, I didn't see it.
Don't I? Okay. So
I purposely don't watch the news.
Oh, good. Okay, I get it. So yeah, the gentleman's name is Chris Connor, and Chris came to us and said, I want to do this, and he's like, it would have been his second restaurant. He had a breakfast place, and it's available on ITEX, of course, but he came to us and said, I want to build this pizzeria. So he did, and he built it using ITEX dollars. So he worked with his local area director, the gentleman who works in the Niagara region, and manages that geographic area for us at ITEX. And let me tell you how closely they worked together. They went to the vendors together. the ITEX area director got met, like in some cases, they were already clients. In other cases, for things that they didn't have, we went out and sourced it for him. But let me explain exactly the different things that he bought again, and you'll understand why this sort of went mainstream. So all the signs, exterior and interior, all the banners, all the actual the box letter sign, the backlit sign that was purchased by ITEX, the flooring, the wall tile, the painting, the food equipment itself. So the fryers for the wings, the ovens for the pizzas, pizza tables themselves. So food equipment in general, security system, all the printing of the menus,
Wow.
and the flyers, fire protection services, pest control for just monthly maintenance, junk removal for when they did the actual rental to build the restaurant, and all the glass that they replaced from the previous restaurant.
Wow.
Along with all the advertising, billboards, direct mail, we all have that. That's all available on ITEX, and they built it using ITEX dollars.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a really, really exciting story for us. They spent in excess of $50,000 in the end. Spend ITEX dollars to do it, and they traded. So you're like, well, where did they get their sales? So what they did was they pre-sold gift certificates for pizza. So all our clients sort of got on board, said, we'll buy the certificates now. They get all their ITEX dollars that they need to spend. And so in the end, we did it in chunks, but in the end, they spent in excess of $50,000 in ITEX to make all these kinds of purchases to build the restaurant, all through by selling gift certificates.
Yeah, so you're creating, like, or I shouldn't say you are, you have created like a monetary system outside of the banks. The banks must love you.
Well, they love us and hate us. They love us when we have to pay all our taxes every single month and annually, of course. But if you will, some of the clients, it's sort of an interesting question you're asking, but we provide a competitive advantage. So where somebody normally would say, I buy my printing from that company, and they charge me X amount of dollars in cash for whatever printing I'm going to buy. But wait a minute, there's an ITEX company over here that charges ITEX for the printing I can buy. So I'm going to go spend my money with an ITEX customer. So it does provide a competitive advantage as well. So I guess the bank isn't really in that equation. They still get their money. It's just a different currency that's taking place in terms of the exchange.
Yeah, no, very interesting.
Yeah, so that is a great case study, and it helps, again, give another example of where ITEX can be built, integrated into someone's business. So what we do is we just sort of customize that for everybody who would want or need it, right? So if it was a dry cleaner, we customize and explain why there's a benefit there. If it's a painter, we explain the benefit there. If it's somebody who, it's a clothing store, especially those that are, selling where they have like a sale, and they put big signs in the street with discounts. We go in on a couple different bases. One, you can pay for the advertising to promote that sale using ITEX dollars. But second, we also get you retail rates. There's no discounts. Everything operates at a retail rate on what's bought and sold.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So for someone on the call who's got a business or self-employed and wants to expand or maybe use ITEX to gain a competitive edge, like what take us through like what they would do or what their first step would be or what they should be thinking, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, really, it just comes down to sharing exactly what they do and how their business would operate. And it does go for real estate investors as well. I mean, at the end of the day, if there is any kind of vacancy, I mean, quite frankly, we've been paying our rent on ITEX for the office here for the company, and including the one in Montreal and in the one in Niagara region, we pay all our rent in ITEX to our landlords, their clients.
Really?
So it's not necessarily where it's not applicable to a real estate investor. It's very applicable to a real estate investor, because where they get rent in one area, they're then going to spend and buy faucets for one of their unit, or they're going to buy tile, or they're going to buy, again, painting services and so on. So there is an application for both, say, the generic sort of what we've come to know as a business owner, and then of course the actual real estate investor that has basically, it's obviously their own business, just a different kind of business. So it's applicable in different areas.
If you're going to get involved with ITEX, I mean, you have to be leveraging the network, or else there's really no point. I mean, if you're going to earn ITEX dollars, you got to spend them in there and reap the benefit. So you have to participate within the network. That's what I'm kind of learning from this.
Yeah, I mean, we do use that analogy. It's like someone who goes and says, "Oh, I have a gym membership. Do you ever go?" You know, so like if you're going regularly and if you're investing regularly in that kind of, you know, in that space to become healthier and so on, it's not unlike how it works for ITEX. If you're not contacting us first, hey, I have a purchase need. It's this purchase. Do you have an ITEX member that can address that need? And our team is very active, very engaged. So we're going to be able to answer pretty quickly, yes, we do, or no, we don't have somebody who can do that. But that's why the depth and the strength of an exchange is very, very important. So if somebody says, hey, I have the following, you know, sort of 10 needs, we want to take care of as many of those 10 needs as possible. Sometimes at certain stages of life or certain times a year, those needs might be 2 or 3 needs. Other times a year, it might be 15. But we sort of generally say, like, we want to have 10 ongoing needs at any given time, because we are actively going out and bringing on new members to then address the needs of our existing clients.
So if you're just getting started in the exchange, but maybe you haven't built up ITEX dollars yet because your services haven't been used, like, what do you do? And let's say you want to print some signs. So I'm a realtor, I want to print some signs and have them delivered to the neighborhood, but I just walked in 5 minutes ago.
Yep. So we operate and we start operating a little bit more like a bank in this capacity. We can allocate lines of credit, so we can make that available to clients. And it's actually less than probably what people think, but it's 1.5% of the.
We're losing your connection a bit there, Mike.
And to give you some context, we have clients that have accounts that are. Is that any better there now?
I can hear you. You just kind of froze up a little. There we go.
Okay, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. I'm not sure exactly why, but I'll keep an eye on it.
We won't blame the internet on you. Don't worry.
Yeah. Blame COVID. But so again, a little just to relapse or just to go back a bit there. So yeah, so we do operate a little bit more like a bank that way, where we can assign lines of credit and make that available to our customers, and they can spend right away, which is what you're asking, and they can buy the signs and they can buy the printing, whatever they need. And then how they make it up is they make it up in sales, and those sales could be in the form of a commission. It could be in the form of renting a hotel room or filling capacity in a property. Like, there's lots of ways that can be applied. A couple of interesting things. We actually just signed a lease yesterday for the first ever in Canada. So our clients don't even know this yet, but I'm showing you on the call here. First ever Barter pop-up shop. So we're gonna have a retail brick and mortar where people can come in and actually spend ITEX dollars to purchase, like it's a store.
Wow.
So Canadian dollars are not accepted.
So, I'm gonna love this. I'm gonna go see this in person.
Yeah. We're gonna. It's gonna be. It's very close. Like, it's like 427 in QW, very central. It's gonna be great.
So what's the most? Sorry, this is a dumb question, but like, what's the most popular service or product that's traded in the exchange? There's got to be something that's more popular than the rest, right? Or doesn't make sense?
Yeah, there is. And it's a really big question because people spend ITEX dollars on business and personal. So on the business side, advertising is big. We probably do, you know, in any given month, anywhere from 40 to 50% is advertising. That advertising can mean the local newspaper right up to, you know, 6-figure media campaigns. So it's a real big spectrum for us that we work within.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the biggest one, and it's say maybe not exciting on the personal side, but on the personal side, you will see some investing going on the real estate side, where the seller will make a portion of the property available using Canadian dollars and ITEX dollars. So we've done everything from, physical buildings to land investment, both in Canada and the United States. That's sort of ongoing, if you will, throughout the year, that we'll see stuff like that. And then the personal side. So they'll want to go to restaurants, they'll want to go on vacations, they want to go to B&Bs for the weekend, they'll want to go they want to get the smallest thing done for their home. So I want to get duct cleaning. I want to buy new artwork. Artwork's expensive if you're getting good stuff. So you don't want to go pay cash for it. If you can pay ITEX for artwork and stuff like that, that's an attractive one too. So they love spending on business and personal.
Yeah. And I guess if you buy a piece of artwork with ITEX dollars, it's still physical. Like if you could,
of course,
5 years later, you could turn around and sell that artwork and take cash, right?
That's right. And it's actually a great point. I mean, that's a term we call cash conversion. So people will buy something on ITEX and sell it for cash. And what it does is it creates a mechanism to, I'm going to use air quotes and visuals here, but cash out your ITEX dollars that you would have generated from the sales you made previous.
Yeah. So you buy an iPhone with your ITEX dollars and sell it for cash, that kind of thing.
That kind of thing. Yeah. Like that would be a normal kind of way to cash out on your ITEX dollars.
Yeah, that's like using my points to buy a physical product, like your travel points or your credit card points to buy a product.
That's right. Like your optimum points from Shoppers or whatever, PC points now. Petro points, all that. So you buy that stuff and you sell it for cash. Sports memorabilia is a big one for us. You'll see a lot of sports memorabilia purchased on ITEX, and then charities love us because that's how a lot of charities will buy their products or the items for their online or even in-person auctions. So if they have an online auction, they're going to take their ITEX dollar, buy something, generate cash as the auction item, and then turn around and take that cash to either fund initiatives, fund their operation, and so on. So we're always looking for great, charities and nonprofits to work with for that in that reason alone.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So I see a question coming through here.
Yeah.
From Mike, sounds interesting. Something just popped into my head for real estate staging. I'm sure you've done that before.
Yeah, for sure. And along with interior design and of course real estate, services themselves. But yeah, staging or buying those items for staging purposes, that is of course that would happen.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I'm starting to understand it better from the perspective of like the credit card points or travel points, because I'm earning the points by, or even better yet, when I have a better relationship with CIBC, every time I would send them a new client and they would do a mortgage, like I would get points back.
Okay. So
the size of the mortgage. So you know what I mean? So they're doing the mortgage, I'm getting the points, and then with the points, I was able to buy, computers, iPhones, and stuff like that. Like it wasn't a trade thing, but I was just trying to piece it together in my mind.
But what it ultimately is it's just one more tool in your arsenal.
Yeah.
Right. It's one more mechanism that, really you're using to your advantage to leverage whatever opportunity on this side to have an outcome on the other side.
Yeah.
And in this case, to your point, it's that. And it could be for somebody else, it could be something else, right? Like, they here's what something happens too. People have jewelry, or we're not big on selling used jewelry, but we'll have somebody who has jewelry and then they'll, use ITEX to sell it as a means to convert it to cash, or ITEX dollars that they would convert it and turn into cash. So it's a way for them to, so on a personal basis and on a business basis, you have applications for both.
Yeah. It's just a different mechanism of value exchange. Yeah. That's cool. But it's good that you have, what are the name of those guys you said who put the transactions together?
The trade directors. Yeah, they do play a vital role and a good trade director. And we always do our best to hire the best, but a good trade director plays a very vital role in what we call the ITEX experience, or the ITEX experience. the customer and how they experience working with us.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting part, because you have someone facilitating a transaction with, different methods of payment all the time, and different people with different needs. Like that's a real smart way to manage the transactions, get people to do more transactions, and sort of expand your network. That's
and we have a lot of tools at our disposal. So whether it's we obviously have a social media presence. We have the Business and Barter Show, which is a podcast that I do. Of course, just picking up the phone, whether our clients call us or we call them, and of course, email or text. So there's lots of ways that communication and engagement can take place between our team and our clients to basically have an optimal outcome. In this case, making a purchase or making a sale using ITEX dollars.
Got it. Mario's saying this will be important when the supply chain, like food, for instance, becomes compromised. I like the assumption.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially in this day and age when we're seeing things around the world take place like this. But here's what I would say to somewhat address Mario's point or question. What we saw over COVID and say the last 18 months is we saw, I don't want to call it an evolution, but we certainly saw a change in behavior of our clients where they would normally, have a mix of business and personal, and it wasn't necessarily 50-50 on any given day, but call it 60-40. Okay. And then what happened once COVID hit and businesses really came to a crawl or even stopped, as in some cases, all the personal spending shifted that way. So it was like, okay, what do we have for restaurants? I need to get out of town for a weekend because I can't leave the country. So do you have a B&B, or do you have like a 3 or 4 day getaway? Or, those kinds of things started to really become prominent in terms of requests. And I think we did a really admirable job in meeting demand because it was so heavy that way, all the personal spending, right? So I want to buy artwork. I want to buy things for my home. I want to go on vacation. I want to go to dinner. All those things started to really come to the forefront.
Yeah. It's an interesting perspective for sure. Yeah, it seems so simple, but the application of it, for me, it's taken some time to wrap my head around it. So I'm glad we had this little call here. Now, what else would you share with everybody that we would need to know or want to know, or that a business owner, even someone who's an employee, might benefit from the exchange?
Yeah, those are great points and questions. I mean, it really becomes a case of taking a step back and then sort of assessing either their business or, to your point, on a personal basis, if somebody was an employee somewhere, and how they would integrate it. So on the business side, again, if it's a service, it's like, okay, where do I have capacity? Where do I have available schedule time? Do I have any equipment that isn't running? Do I have a team of people and they have capacity in their schedule? Meaning you're paying them, say, 8:30 to 5 every day anyway. What's their workload like? What's their caseload? So ITEX clients that we can bring to the table can help fill up that capacity. So there's the service side, if you will. Okay, that if we go to a let's say a hotel, and we say, okay, what's your occupancy? Well, we say, oh, they may say, I'm running at 95%. We're like, hey, that's pretty good. But then they might say, well, there is that 5%. And that's where we come in, which doesn't sound like a lot. But if that 5% on an annual basis can represent $500,000, that's a lot of money. So even if we come in and help just on a small level, even if it's 100,000 annually, that's newfound revenue that it otherwise doesn't exist.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And then, like, instead of getting that $100,000 in Canadian dollars, you're getting it in ITEX dollars, but now you can trade that ITEX dollars for things you would have spent money on anyway.
That's right. And on the product side, it's okay. Theoretically, I have 100 different products that my company sells. Okay. How many are selling well? Probably 30-40% sell pretty well, where we expect, but there's another 50, say 50, 60% that, isn't moving as well as we'd like, or it's just idle stock, or it's a canceled order. So ITEX can become a mechanism for them basically to liquidate that product at a retail base, on a retail basis, at a retail price. Yeah. So that again plays a big role in recovering that margin and turning it into a functioning payment method using ITEX dollars.
I'm thinking from a personal perspective, like if there was maybe if there's a transaction that I'm doing often and it can be done on the exchange, then I'm getting more value doing that. For example, I don't know, this sounds really stupid, but it's the only thing I can come to. I don't have that much hair anyway, but if I was like Andrew and getting a haircut every week, and there was an ITEX guy who was doing that, you can get better value for it on the exchange. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's I'm losing my hair too, by the way. So we'll that's a separate group, I know, but we're there. But no, you raise a really good point. And one of the ones that I actually thought of was just on the real estate side, on the agent side or the broker side, is, and everybody has their preferred vendors. I understand this, but everybody's got to pay that real estate closing. Paying that to a lawyer on ITEX to that real estate closing, the real estate buyer, is a great way to spend ITEX.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Right. So you start to do the math. That could represent annually for some people, $20, $30, $40,000, right? Depending on how active they are. So, it depends on, that's just one area to spend that you would spend ITEX dollars. And to your point earlier, it was a great idea. Any kind of the real estate, whether it's signage or flyers or anything that, what do you call it? 360 tours of homes. We have drone services, all of that stuff. That's all available on ITEX.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I kind of like the advertising part of that. When you mentioned that, yeah, that's a good chunk of it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't do that much like drones and photography for stuff. We're working with so many investors. We don't need that stuff anyways. But spending, if I'm making ITEX dollars and I'm spending it to create more influence in my market,
that's right.
It's just going to bring more value back to me anyway. Yeah, no, this is really cool, man.
And let's face it, I mean, marketing and advertising is A, it's expensive, and B, for any business owner or individual who's starting a business and so on, that's the most expensive component, operationally that would, aside from obviously labor, of course, if they're doing, if depending on the size of their company, but that's one of the most expensive areas of investment. And ITEX dollars are a great way to spend funds with minimal risk. And that is important, because if you're sitting there saying, I got to take $20,000 or $50,000 off my bottom line and invest it, they believe in a viable and exciting advertising opportunity, that can be minimized. That risk can be minimized because the ITEX dollar was additional new business that didn't impact their cash revenues or their cash spending.
Yeah.
So the ITEX dollars spent in an area for advertising, that's going to your point, reinforce your brand, create more value, generate more awareness, could be a call to action depending on the business, or it could be, again, just straight branding. That's a great way to spend ITEX dollars and invest in an area that's super costly for a lot of people, that they have a competitive advantage because the people who are not on ITEX can't or don't know how to do that.
Yeah. I'm going off the deep end here, but like there's got to be a class in high school taught on this to teach some kids how to trade value without stupid dollars.
Yeah, I've done a lot of speaking, usually not at the high school level. I have at the high school level, but I do a lot more at the college level.
Yeah, college might be a better place for, at least the kids are thinking about that more often.
Yeah, I like doing both, but I do it sort of fairly regularly. Not recently, of course, because of COVID, but I have done it, regularly before. And it's always an engaging discussion. And a lot of kids have a lot of questions. Can I get concert tickets? This kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, we gotta start getting them when they're younger. who knows what they're learning.
It's a great point. Yeah. We actually we've done a meet and greet with Lady Gaga. That was cool.
Really?
Yeah, it was 10 grand on ITEX.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Okay. Are we missing anything that you think we should?
No, I think this is great. I was going to offer, we have a general contact email. I was going to offer that if anybody had any follow-up questions.
Yeah.
I know this is recorded, but I don't know if you forward my information to anybody.
Yeah, we'll forward the recording to obviously all the people that registered and requested the recording for sure. So if you send me a little package or a PDF or whatever you want, I can include it with the recording, but you can put it through the chat here or tell everybody what it is or
Sure, yeah. Why don't we do that? But basically, I wanted to offer, if anybody wanted the information package, that I would forward it to them, and then send them just an open invitation that I send by email. So if anybody wanted to activate an account, we don't have a cost associated for certain groups. So anybody who's associated with Rockstar, anybody who's associated with your network, there's a couple of Facebook groups that we want to help business owners with. So there's the Health Pass group, or the People Against Health Pass group. Those guys are really struggling right now, so we offered it to them. And we have preferred rates for anybody who are in these groups. So that's all available at a reduced. We're happy to do it to support small business as much as we can. They're the lifeline and the backbone of this entire country. So we want to do our part to help them.
No, that's the right way. I appreciate that, Mike. I think for a very, very small, dollar investment and a little bit of time and effort, I mean, there's tremendous value on the back end here to be had and to be gained forever. So I encourage everybody to try it out. I'm going to also. I don't think there's a losing situation here. I think worst case you learn, but from what you're saying, I think everyone's going to find value. Appreciate it, Mike.
Yep. Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate it. And great chatting with you. Great questions.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, like, don't be shy. I mean, unmute yourself or put it through the chat. Like I feel like I'm doing too much talking here, but we'll keep it going for another minute here. If no one pipes up, we'll end the call. But if you do have a question, go for it.
While we're waiting, this is a great one here. I'm going to start from Mario. I'm going to start to invest in hotels and put them on barter. Like it's not a crazy thought. I don't know if that's how serious it is or not. But again, not like Chateau Jourdain, not unlike the Hard Rock Hotel chain. All those guys. Yes, it wasn't a joke. It is a great way to maximize those empty rooms and then reinvest those dollars into your operation.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It wasn't a joke. And Mario, thank you for participating. Thanks to everyone for participating. Thanks to Mike for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I'll send a recording out to everybody, and if you're listening to the recording, thanks for registering. I'll get this out as soon as possible. Mike, a pleasure, man. Let's talk again soon.
Yep, sounds good, Paul. Thanks again. Take care, everybody.